It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome to the Tennessee bonus hour of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are always delighted to have in studio the original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Crom, welcome.
Greetings, kind sir.
I was waiting for the kind sir.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to say Michael or kind sir.
There was a hanging.
There was, yes.
There was a hanging Chad there before
as
I got
I was
to kind sir.
making the decision, and you now know what I decided.
Kind sir.
Kind
Very
sir.
Good. Crom, it's we have 1 week, 4 days, and 1 week, 4 days, 23 hours, and 55 minutes, and 30 seconds until Donald
So he'll
Trump.
be sworn in at noon.
At noon.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, they'll start it at noon.
You know, it's fascinating, Michael, as I'm watching how Democrats are still reacting to Trump's presidency and also their handling of the last 4 years. And the more I watch, the more concerned I get because, you know, I listened to your report about Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
And the fires out there,
Yeah.
and the DEI, and the mayor, and the DEI fire chief, and all this. But here's and you know, this it's a theme that I regularly talk about. But who determines more than any other group? Who determines who gets elected mayor of large cities?
The unions?
Yeah, the government employee unions in particular.
Mm-hmm.
The other unions perhaps, but
government employee unions.
Government employee unions in particular. And do you think that the government employee unions, other than the members who might have gotten their homes burned down, do you think they care?
No.
No, they don't. And here's what's interesting. Here's what's going to happen, because insurance companies are in the business of assessing risk. What insurance companies are going to start looking at is they're going to start looking at cities where the administration of the cities is pathetic. And when they see that a city has a pathetic administration, I mean, when you have fire hydrants that don't have water.
Yeah, that's like basic 101.
I mean this is
that's firefighting 101.
This is it's beyond my ability to comprehend stupidity and laziness.
Yeah.
It's a combination of the two, and you're going to see insurance companies that are going to say, I can't insure structures in places where the government officials are so terrible that they don't take the precautions that frankly a 14-year-old would think are necessary. And so it's a problem. And now you're looking at Democrats are now more and more, they're saying how angry they are at Merrick Garland for not prosecuting Trump. Of course,
more rapidly.
More rapidly. Now let's remember that what Merrick Garland has been doing for 4 years is prosecuting as many people who are in Washington and near the Capitol or in the Capitol on January 6th. So he's been spending enormous FBI and Justice Department resources, and so then he illegally appoints Jack Smith, and that's what the judge. I say that only because that's what the judge in Florida.
It's not Crom Carmichael saying that.
No,
it's a federal district court judge.
Yeah, who said that Jack Smith was not appointed legally,
because he wasn't,
and so therefore. Because he was appointed, because he was not appointed legally, he has no more authority than Mike Leahy has, or that Crom Carmichael has, to act as a prosecutor, and the Democrats are furious that they didn't abuse the legal system to stop Donald Trump, and that's very troubling.
It's
Michael.
very, you know what
really,
it is.
It's really, really troubling. And it gets to the heart of what's ultimately going to take to address to solve the problems.
The reason it's troubling is because it's fundamentally un-American.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's well said. I mean, it is. And it's interesting when you say un-American. And here's what's kind of interesting, because I've been thinking about it. I asked a person the other day, do you think that bravery is more or less an inherited trait? Because obviously, if a woman who is 6'2" marries a man who's 6'6", the chances that their children will be tall is much greater than if two people who marry who are 5'4" and 5'10". It's just so there's a lot of inherited qualities.
Okay.
Is bravery inherited? And the reason I ask that question is this: if bravery is inherited to some extent, then so is America was founded by people who left a society that they knew to literally take enormous risks to move to a place where things were very, very unsettled. Their livelihood, whether they would even stay alive. And so risk taking is in our DNA.
It's in the American spirit. It's part of the American character.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
And
let me see if I can jump ahead.
Jump in. Yeah.
Because when I say un-American, I mean it's behavior that is cowardly. It is behavior that denies rights. It's behavior that doesn't look at risk.
I'm going to take a little bit different position on it. It's behavior that's bureaucratically institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
It's old Europe.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying is when you say un-American,
old Europe.
I mean it in the sense that America's DNA is different.
Yes.
Than the DNA of Europe.
Asterisk. It was different in virtually every American heart.
Yeah.
But in the past, let's go 40 years, accelerated in the past 10 years.
Yes.
It has been infected with old Europe / communist Chinese authoritarianism.
And that's because old Europe had royalty and those who are closely connected to royalty, i.e. the government. And then you had everybody else. And in America, government was smaller. The national government until the 30s had very little power. And then even in 1960, when Kennedy became president, the size of the federal government was 100. The total budget in Kennedy's first year was $100 billion. It's over $7 trillion now.
Yeah.
And so the size of the government. Now that's when Kennedy signed an executive order allowing government employees to unionize,
which then subsequently became a statutory.
Yes, and the power of government employees has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and it now is to the point where it controls the Democrat Party.
Well, it's not just federal employees. It's state and local.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
L.A. Let's take a look at L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, you see these stories about police officers or firemen who are making like $500,000 a year.
Right.
In California.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's nuts.
Yeah, and what they do is they make these giant salaries in their last 12 months. Because then when they retire,
they get that.
Their pension is based on their salary for the last 12 months.
So this is all wrong.
Including overtime.
Yeah.
And so they do it on purpose.
But when we come back, it's a new day in America.
Yes, it is, hopefully.
And
an opportunity.
I'm going to talk about how Donald Trump's press conference yesterday epitomizes that new America. Yeah, and I got some clips for you.
Well, yes.
We'll be back after this with Crom Carmichael.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, All-Star panelist, original All-Star panelist, Carmichael Crom. Yesterday, Donald Trump held, I think it was like a 3-hour press conference down in Mar-a-Lago. And as Steve Forbes said, he did more in that one press conference than Joe Biden's done in 4 years.
Exactly.
How refreshing is that?
Well, it's I tell you what, the breadth of the conversation, especially when it comes to foreign policy.
Oh yeah,
is which is why it's going to be so important that Pete Hegseth get confirmed because our military and the Pentagon has just it's just become so weak that now it sees its main job as funding the left.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's get in that 3-hour interview. We probably got 100 great clips from Trump.
Oh, okay.
They were all great, but I want to play this one. You talk about foreign policy.
Okay.
And obviously the war between Ukraine and Russia, big deal. It's got to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's got to be settled. Trump talked about that here in clip 19.
Oh, okay.
So, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that. That's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal, and then Biden broke it. They had a deal which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO.
Okay. So, again, that was one of the things. Common sense.
Well, by the way, when he says, when Trump said, I think this and I think that about Biden, I mean, there's actual evidence and proof, actually, because Biden publicly invited Ukraine to apply to NATO in November.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later,
The invasion.
Duh. I mean, and this is, and actually the July before that November, so 3 or 4 months before, Putin had given a speech that was a very important speech where he said that if Ukraine is invited to join NATO, that he will invade Ukraine.
That's what you call a clue.
That's what he said in July.
I agree.
Biden then in November invites him, and the rest is history. And it's a sad history. And the other thing is to show you how flippant. And you know, let's be clear about something.
Lacking seriousness.
Yeah. Let's be very, very straight about something. Biden has not been able to think clearly his entire presidency.
Yeah.
We know that. Everybody in the media knows that, but nobody in the media, in the left-leaning media, mainstream media, wants to admit it because then they'd have to admit their own culpability. So they're now talking about it and they're asking questions as if they now all of a sudden they become aware. And so I say that because Biden inviting Ukraine to be in NATO, then Russia invades. What was the very first thing that Biden did? And I think this was actually Biden. I don't think it was. His very first reaction was to give Zelensky safe harbor in the U.S. That was his so he had no clue. He personally had no clue what he was doing, and now it's where it is. Now, I do think that Trump will resolve this matter. I don't think it'll be to the complete satisfaction of Zelensky, but I think Zelensky's going to be required to take the deal, and the deal will include very clearly that Ukraine will not be part of NATO. That it will be, I don't know, what do you call it, a neutral country? I don't know what you call it.
Trump highlighted the main problem there, that Biden, in light of everything that Russia historically has said about Ukraine not being part of NATO, like for decades, before, ever since it's been.
Well, Ukraine at one point was considered part of what's Kyiv. Was Kyiv originally?
It's in the Soviet Union for a long time.
Well, no. I mean, I think it was even part of Russia, even back in the days of early Tsarism.
Yeah, it was. But back to the point on all this, I think we have some clarity and some common sense and strength coming from Trump, as opposed to just obfuscation from Joe Biden. Now, just one of the themes that we're going to talk about here at Crom, how the Democrats haven't gotten the message. They don't understand the country has changed, and they're doing the same old,
mm-hmm.
and it's not helping them at all.
Well, we'll see.
I'll give you a case in point.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's going to work.
Okay.
But would you like to see the case in point?
Sure, absolutely.
So Pocahontas,
now we know who that is.
Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, is going to be, I think, on on one of the committees. I don't know how she got on this committee because she doesn't know anything about armed services.
Schumer.
Yeah.
Schumer appoints the Democrats to committees.
Yeah. Well, she's she's just a lefty lawyer.
Right.
That's all she's ever been.
And not a very good one.
Not a very good one. I agree. But, she got promoted up the chain through DEI, right?
Yeah.
You know her background is.
Oh, yeah.
She graduated from the Rutgers University Newark Law School, which is like number 245 out of 250.
Okay.
In the rankings.
Okay.
And because she's a female, she got, she moved along and got a job at University of Texas, then Pennsylvania.
Oh, she
then
also,
Harvard.
that was, I mean, it was.
And the Native American
And the
thing.
Native American bit.
False claim.
The false claim.
Yeah.
That, I think that had more to do with it. I think that, frankly, had more to do with it than just being female.
It did, particularly with regards to getting her appointment at Harvard.
Yes. Yeah.
But the point is, on all this, so demonstrating that she hasn't learned a thing, she now has issued, and German-owned Politico just put this out about an hour ago. She has 70 questions for Pete Hegseth, right, which she's going to ask publicly, and they're all related to basically, when did you stop beating your wife type questions, right?
Okay.
It's like, well, you were supposedly drinking on the job. You supposedly, mismanaged resources when in this veterans group, which is totally bogus. She knows the answer to that. It's claimed that you were, sexually harassed somebody. That's been totally debunked. It's going to be what they're trying to do. They're trying to Brett Kavanaugh him, right? It's not going to work.
No, it won't.
Because the reason it's not going to work, Crom, I think, is because people have gotten wise to the regime media, and it's just not, they're not paying any attention to it anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, and there's some woman who used to work in one of the nonprofits that Hegseth was CEO, and she got consistently bad reviews, and so she was given a bad review, and then she claimed disability, and then she claimed full disability, and then she resigned, and she is now sending out. I've got a story on it, and I'll see if I can.
She sent it out.
The actual
Pete
name.
Hegseth, bad guy.
Yeah, well, to all of these other employees, and trying to get them to come forward anonymously. And see, I don't think anonymous sources now will even work.
No, it won't.
And if they say if Elizabeth Warren and Hegseth will be very aggressive back.
He will be.
He will be very aggressive.
He's not going to be like Kavanaugh, who was basically polite.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to punch back.
That's right.
And I think he's going to do very well, actually.
I do too.
In those.
Yeah.
In those hearings. So, we got that going on, Crom, and then all I have to say is this. You ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready when you go down to Destin to go swimming in the Gulf of America?
Gulf of, that's actually kind of interesting because Gulf of America is actually probably the more accurate name, because Mexico is part of North America, so it's more inclusive. Calling it Gulf of America is actually more inclusive because
and if you look at the land, the mass of it, and the coast that covered by the Gulf of Mexico is more. There's more mileage of that coast that's in America, the United States of America. It goes from the tip of Florida all the way up to Alabama, all the way around Louisiana, Mississippi, down to Texas, down to Brownsville. That's all American territory.
Yeah, but Mexico is part of North America, so
angle.
We're part of North America. So it's a more. By the way, I did dig this up. Her name, the former employee's name is Kate Dugan. This is from the Free Beacon. She worked at CVA, which was Concerned Veterans for America. And I'm just going to quote here real quickly. Worked for CVA for 8 months while Hegseth served as CEO of the organization, and has sent messages to former CVA colleagues urging them to contact the Senate Armed Services Committee and assuring them that they could do so anonymously.
She worked for 8 months.
8 months.
What that
and
says...
was on disability most of the time, having gotten bad reviews the entire time she was there.
Okay, 8 months, you get bad... I mean, this is not a credible person.
No, but the media will try to make her credible, and it'll hurt them. This is what's so interesting.
Yes.
It will hurt them.
You got that one right. Yeah. Okay, when we come back, our great reporter Rachel Alexander was at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday night when they debuted the John Eastman Lawfare documentary.
Ooh.
We got the scoop from Rachel. If all goes well, she'll be with us when we get back. Nashville Pizza Company takes this special time to salute the Franklin men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedom. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they fought hard to restore peace around the world. American troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. This message is courtesy of our good friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They're always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction. I want to say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Hey there,
Impersonator not endorsed
founder
by Donald
and
Trump.
CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, All-Star panelist, original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. On our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, the greatest election reporting, lawfare reporting reporter in the country, Rachel Alexander, who's with us at the Star News Network and the Arizona Sun-Times. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks for having me on, Michael.
Always delighted to have you on. Okay, so Saturday, you went down to Mar-a-Lago for a premiere of the documentary on John Eastman. And by the way, you are the premier journalist in the country for documenting the 40 days of the trial, of the disbarment trial in California, the kangaroo court trial. You're all over this case. Tell us a little bit about the documentary and the event. What was it like down in Mar-a-Lago with, I think you saw Donald Trump there, right?
Yeah, so this was my first trip to Mar-a-Lago, and apparently, there's lots of events like this, and, once in a while something comes along that's right up your alley. And this was right up my alley because, I don't think anybody else covered every single day as extensively of the John Eastman disbarment trial as I did. And so I was absolutely delighted to see that it was completely sold out. People paid from $1,000 to $50,000 to be there, hundreds and hundreds of people. Lots of key people. I mean, the Italian prime minister was there. Marco Rubio was there. Kevin Sorbo and his wife were there. All these other victims of lawfare were there, like Rudy Giuliani and our friend Jeff Clark. Those two participated on a panel discussion about lawfare. with a couple other people who had also, along with John Eastman, been targeted who were in Trump's orbit. And the thing that really struck me the most about this incredible documentary, which you can, read about in my article on the Tennessee Star, and you can also just go directly to the website. Madison Media Fund is streaming it for free right now. It's called The Eastman Dilemma: Lawfare or Justice. Was that they interviewed far left constitutional Harvard law professor Lawrence Lessig, who came out adamantly defending John Eastman and what he's being targeted for, because Eastman basically said, hey, look, it looks like there might be some constitutional authority that Vice President Mike Pence could delay certification of the votes. And so that's what he's being targeted for. But Lessig said, no, this is absolutely not fair that he is being punished, because this is a viable legal theory. And he even came out and said that he thinks that there should be Trump electors. In 2020, there should have been a slate of Trump electors in these states. And they should have not been prosecuted like they're being prosecuted in Arizona and in other states. So his contribution to the documentary, considering he's like about the top constitutional legal scholar on the left, I just thought this was absolutely profound.
I was surprised by that as well. Did you expect that for him to appear in the documentary?
No, I didn't. And if anything, I would have thought he would have been on the other side, because he had this law clerk who testified in the trial against Eastman.
In California. Wow, that is fascinating. Where does this go? Right now, the California bar has said we recommend you be disbarred. He's currently on a special suspended license, can't practice, but he hasn't been disbarred yet in California. I found out something in that documentary that was, I thought, good news. So Eastman sent a letter to the Supreme Court and said, hey, my bar license in California has been, in essence, suspended. I can't practice law in California. And the Supreme Court said back to him, yeah, that's fine, but you can still practice before us. I didn't know that. I found that fascinating. Your thoughts on that, Rachel Alexander?
I think that's a really good sign, because usually if you get suspended in one state, every other jurisdiction suspends you as well. It's called reciprocity, and so I've believed all along, and I admit that some in Eastman's circle might disagree with me. They're a little bit more negative, but I've thought all along that the Supreme Court is eventually going to turn this around. And it might even happen sooner than that, because, as you know, I write extensively about other courts like the Ninth Circuit. And there have been.
By the way, let me just stop. Did you catch that, folks?
Yeah, that was good.
That was well done. The Ninth Circuit. That basically is a bunch of Western states, including California. They're 11th Circuit.
Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, they're 11th Circuit courts, and that one is the furthest left of any by a long shot. So, hence the Ninth Circuit. Well done.
But we might not be able to call it that anymore, because I've written about a couple decisions recently, panel decisions, where there were 2 Trump appointee judges and 1 Democrat appointed judge, and they came out with good decisions. So I think Trump appointed so many judges to the Ninth Circuit that we might be starting to see a little bit of a change. So I think there's a slight chance Eastman will get some relief at the Ninth Circuit. And again, when he has to appeal to the Supreme Court, ultimately, they might not accept cert of his case. So there is that realistic possibility.
Yeah, when you
my personal opinion
they might not accept cert, that means they might not decide to take the case. Carmichael is here in studio, and Crom has a question for you, Rachel.
Well, there are a couple of things, Rachel. Just your reporting is always just great. I learn so much whenever you're on. But if my memory's correct, when typically the senators of various states are asked about who they would recommend to be appointed to the courts in their area, and Trump specifically ignored the senators from California, Washington, and Oregon on his picks for the Ninth Circuit. And So that was, I think, one thing. But one thing that I think would be fascinating would be if Pam Bondi, after she gets confirmed, if she were to say, I'm going to be very interested to see how the California bar handles this case specifically, because I will apply whatever their standard is to them. And so I'll be interested to see, and just say I'll be very interested to see what their conclusion is. Because if they represent the California lawyers, I will apply that very same standard to all lawyers in California. That would, I tell you what, and that's under the equal treatment under the law philosophy. So I would love for her to do that.
Do you anticipate, Rachel? Do you anticipate anything coming out on the Eastman case from a likely soon-to-be Attorney General Pam Bondi?
Well, like I keep saying lately, in line with, I think the Supreme Court is going to take this case because of all the attention it is now generating, especially with the documentary. Similarly, I think Pam Bondi is going to have to be forced to do something to look into it. And not that she wouldn't. I mean, I have a really good impression of her. But I think that, yes, as your co-host said, I believe that she will be looking at some of those members of the California bar who went after Eastman and committed ethical violations themselves. We've got them all documented.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. So, meanwhile, let's see, the California disbarment case, what's the next step in that process? Does he appeal it to the California Supreme Court? Does he appeal it to a federal district court? What's the next step on that process?
So, as I remember, right, the next step will be the California Supreme Court, and nobody has any hope there. I think it's all Democrats.
Yeah, so it's funny, though, it's interesting. You're a graduate of the University of Arizona Law School, right? Did I get that right? It's funny, and I'm doing this 1L thing at night law school here at Nashville. What you learn about this is a lot of these court decisions really depend on the attitude and the backgrounds and the philosophy of the judges. And when all the judges are a bunch of leftists, that's not a good thing.
Well, I've said for years that the judges write their decisions based on what they want the outcome to be. They decide the outcome first, then they find the law to match it. They don't do the other way around as they're supposed to. And if you go to law school, as you are, and I'm sure you're starting to hear this, Michael, these law professors will talk to you about how lofty and mighty it is that, we just research these cases and that's how we come up with our opinions. And they're in their ivory towers. That is just the biggest blatant lie they tell law students.
Yeah, I think I had that sense before I went in, but as I look at these opinions and how all over the map they are, they do seem to reflect the biases of the judges. That is our system right now. Crom, did you have another question?
Well, I think that, I think that the equal treatment under the law is, I think when Pam Bondi, and I do believe she'll be our next Attorney General, I do believe that Kash Patel will be the next FBI director.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think these leftists in the area of the law need to be very, very careful, because if the law is applied equally to them and the institutions that they care about, I don't think they'll be very happy with the results.
Rachel, back to the Supreme Court. I think you're right. I think, however, this thing, the disbarment in California, let's say the California Supreme Court says no. I think he would appeal directly to the Supreme Court after the California Supreme Court, wouldn't he? Or he wouldn't go to district court, would he? How would that work?
I think I had heard that he has to go through the Ninth Circuit first, but you can always try. You can always try to skip an appellate court if you want.
Got it. So. Okay. So, and ultimately, though, at some point, I think he'll ask the Supreme Court to look at it. And do you think they will? Do you think they'll take it on?
I really do. And maybe 6 months ago, people would have said, no, the Supreme Court's probably not going to take it. But I just feel like all the momentum and, with Trump winning the presidency, I think the Supreme Court is going to be much more interested in this case, especially since we're seeing all the pushback against all the lawfare and Fonnie Willis being kicked off of the RICO prosecution. I mean, the pendulum is swinging, and the Supreme Court has to be very, very aware of that.
So I'm going to put on my Mike Stradamus hat. Right. It's always dangerous when it comes to court decisions. I think within 2 years or sooner, the court will take this up. And I think it will be a 6-3 victory for John Eastman. Not Mike Stradamus. You can put it down, count it. What do you think? How close am I, do you think, Rachel?
So I would only finesse that maybe closer to a year down the road, and I'm not going to be quite as optimistic as you because there's always some maverick in these new Trump-appointed justices. So right. I'm going to go with like 5-4.
5-4. Okay, we'll get a little maverick hanging in there. So, well, good. What's up next for you, Rachel? In terms of your great reporting.
Well, I'm going to be wrapping up this article today on States United Democracy Center, basically calling the shots for the 3 top Democrats that allegedly won their offices in election. Absolutely disgusting that a left-wing progressive organization is running Arizona government.
I can't wait to see that one. Every time I see an article from Rachel, I just zoom through it because it's so well done. You are the #1 election lawfare, election integrity journalist in the country, and we're so proud to have you as part of the Star News Network. Rachel, thanks so much.
I appreciate it so much. God bless.
All right. Isn't she great?
Always great. She's always informative. Yep, you bet.
When we come back, News Potpourri.
Yeah.
Back after this.
Carmichael, CEO of Solti, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Solti, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Solti has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Solti for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Solti and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Solti, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from declining bone and joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, folks, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri.
Yes, Michael. It's that time in the program for little tidbits merit the attention of our audience, but not an entire segment and have a touch of
irony.
Yes. Michael, you know, at the end of the Biden administration, you see two or three things going on. One is you see him trying to keep Trump from doing things that Trump has promised. And then you see these pardons that are ridiculous. But the other thing you see is you see federal agencies that are now releasing information that they've had for years, and now they're acting like that this is just standard business. And this is one headline from the Free Beacon. The Pentagon says tech giant Tencent is a Chinese military company. Its founder helps Yale form new partnerships in China. Now that's most people have known that, but you now have the Pentagon is now trying to cover its tracks.
You got it. Hey, this just from President Trump's transition team. It's a statement from Donald J. Trump about the California fires. I'll read it in its entirety.
Please.
Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of waters from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but it didn't care about the people of California. Now, the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes. A true disaster.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, every bit of it. This one is also from the Free Beacon, and this is in that same category. John Hopkins off the hook for anti-Semitism in latest Biden educational department settlement. So they wanted to get this settled while Biden was in charge. His people were in charge of the Department of Education. Apparently, there were students at John Hopkins who were protesting Israel, and they were doing it with pro-Hamas flags and swastikas. And they're saying there's no anti-Semitism to see here.
Yeah, Charlemagne T.G. Turned out is becoming a Donald Trump fan. He said, quote, "Donald Trump shows me what's politically possible. Trump shows me what presidents can do if they want to do it. Donald Trump shows me what can be said if you're willing to say it. It's not about what can't be done. It's about who has a political will to do it."
Well, we'll also see if that goes all the way through in 2 years to supporting Republicans for Congress.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Until that happens, all of this to me is just window dressing. Washington, this is from the Free Beacon. Washington Post slashes workforce as it hemorrhages subscribers. According to this article, in 1924, which was 2024, the Post lost $77 million. $77 million, which I guess Bezos makes up that difference.
It's like you and me losing 5 cents.
Well, I know, but yeah, but I'm just saying that. It's not the amount of money. It's the Washington Post is
Bezos has a problem. Would you like to know what it is?
Please.
Of all of the employees of the Washington Post, 90% of them are lefties.
Hard left. And
so, and if that's the brand, he's going to that brand to change a brand like that after 80 years of being basically hard left. Very difficult. He's going to lose if he wants to keep the Washington Post.
Yeah.
And he wants to turn it to be like a center or even center-right group. He's going to have to fire basically 90% of the employees.
But the other problem
and he's going to lose his subscribers.
Yeah, that's the problem is his subscribers lean left also.
That's actually...
And so it's kind of like CNN and MSNBC. they can't change much. They can hire one person here or there, like Scott Jennings.
Yeah.
But they can't make a
So
fundamental
Jeff,
shift.
Here's the deal, Jeff. I'm happy to help you fix it, but it's not fixable in the way you might think.
Well,
you're going to have to basically fire 90% of your employees and rebuild the Washington Post to be center right, and you're going to lose an awful lot of subscribers.
Well,
but if you come our way, we'll be interested.
Well, we'll see. He may have a dilemma that he cannot solve.
Yeah.
This is interesting, and I'm going to start trying to follow this more. But the CNN Jake Tapper versus Zachary Young trial has just started, and the testimony so far has not gone well for CNN and Jake Tapper, and apparently there are a lot of emails and texts that were found in discovery that will be part of the trial that will really make it difficult. And the jurors, all but 2 jurors said that that if the information were so bad, they would be open to a 10-figure settlement. That's north of $1 billion, 10 figures. So
bye CNN.
So it'll be very, very interesting. This borders on the just hysterical. From BizPac Review, Pelosi utters one of the most unself-aware things to come out of her mouth, and this is what she said. She was being interviewed on CBS Face the Nation. She said, quote, "Women are known to be more, shall we say, ethical than men."
She said that.
Pelosi has made hundreds of millions of dollars on stock trades based on congressional insider information.
But it was I guess her husband did the trades. That's why she said that.
But
I know.
I'm just saying. This one is interesting. I don't know if you saw this, but Dr. Emmanuel, nicknamed Manny Hostin.
Yes.
Sonny Hostin's husband has been
indicted.
He's been accused of fraudulently billing an insurance company.
No, he's been indicted.
In a lawsuit. So it says, okay, all right. So there are 200 defendants.
Right.
So yes, I guess so. But anyway, so that's a big deal.
And let me just say this: I am skeptical of that prosecution of him.
Okay.
Because of the manner in which they describe it. What this is basically how you bill under Obamacare, and it's a maze, and it's if they go after you, it's very hard to not have violated some element of the rules.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a difficult trial and very, very expensive. This one
10 seconds.
Yeah, from Western Journal. Headline, less than 25% of Democrats vote for the Laken Riley Act.
That's it for the show today. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I hope you have a great day. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Visit our stories at TennesseeStar.com, TennesseeStar.com.
Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is
The
paid
Chief
for
Team
by Job
reminds
Creators
listeners
Network.
here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer.
It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.